Welcome to the Economy and Politics Show. It's a brand new week, Monday, November 9, 2020, and we'll take a look at developments across the globe. Our key focus today will be global trade and prospects for Africa. Of course, over the weekend, we had a big story about the projections. Now, from the media, it's very clear that Senator Joe Biden met the required over 270 electoral college demands that makes him now the president-elect of the United States of America and 46th president of the world's largest economy in waiting. But let's give you a rundown of what we'll be discussing today. First, Senator Joe Biden, projected winner now of the U.S. 2020 presidential elections and the fallout. Developments in the World Trade Organization, Africa and the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, and opportunities for the continent. We begin with the big story. Of course, it happened over the weekend. It has been a big talking point across the globe on social media. Everywhere, it's been a big discussion. Senator Joe Biden, according to multiple media projections across the globe, from the results of the November 3rd, 2020 presidential election, clinched elections to emerge the president-elect and now noted as number 46 president-elect in waiting. This victory is historic in many ways. Senator Joe Biden will be the oldest president sworn in January 2021 as the 46th president in history. But also, another historic touch to this emergence is the fact that his running mate, Senator Kamala Harris, a daughter of two immigrants, will become the first female vice president and also person of color to clinch that position. So that shows you how diverse this combination is. So Joe Biden also joins the likes of former President George Bush Sr., who served as vice president before becoming the president of the US. This election has been unprecedented and without a mild drama. All the networks across the globe had tuned in and continued to monitor this election from November 3rd. And of course, one of the reasons why it has continued to be a talking point is incumbent President Donald Trump of the Republican Party, who says he will not concede and even congratulate his major opponent. President Donald Trump was even cited playing golf when the projections were finally announced. President Donald Trump alleged that there was widespread voter fraud and will be challenging this process at the courts. If that is the development, definitely we expect that Senator Joe Biden will remain the president-elect, except the Supreme Court rules otherwise. Well, while the whole developments have been going on in U.S., world leaders have already lined up to congratulate the president-elect, Senator Joe Biden. Of course, President Muhammadu Buhari is among them. G7 leaders, Israeli Prime Minister, leaders in the Southeast Asia Pacific, Latin America, they've all been congratulating Senator Joe Biden. They just want to move on with America. But we'll continue to give you updates on the US elections as it comes. But believe me, millions of people across the world have been following these elections. They know that America continues to be the world's power economy. So whatever happens there has an impact on the globe. For a lot of Nigerians have been asking, it has huge impact on Nigeria too. This week was supposed to be the week that stakeholders in the entire globe will be looking forward to the announcement of a new Director General of the World Trade Organization. But the wait will continue. That's the update we're having. The wait will continue because it has been postponed again, so we would continue to monitor that development. Dr. Mrs. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala from Nigeria was a frontline candidate as she was ahead in the race with support from developing nations like the European Union, even China, to clinch the top trade job. But a last-minute decision by the United States of America to support the South Korean candidate and Minister of Trade, Yoo Myung-hee, changed the whole game and delayed the process. It was supposed to continue today, but it has been postponed again. Some experts believe that this may have been due to the US presidential elections, and it's expected that in the days to come, the General Council will meet finally and decide on who the new DG of the WTO. Going further, the fact is that they know that a Senator Joe Biden victory at the US 2020 presidential elections could be the much-needed support for the emergence of Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. And that's also something that's being viewed in a broad perspective. But WebTV will be watching the developments to give you further updates as they come, as this is also a very significant development as it affects global trade. Now let's look at the continent of Africa, the last frontier continent that has been described as that region that is going to really, really unlock more growth and development across the globe. Next year, 2021, will be significant for Africa as it seeks to implement the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. The AfCFTA is a game changer in the making for the African continent, with a population of over 1 billion people, and an opportunity to engage with global trading blocs like China, European Union, Asia, Pacific, North America, and Latin America in a fair and strategic manner. It is also poised to boost intra-African trade and create enormous opportunities for jobs, industrialization, socio-economic development, and even infrastructural transformation, and the emergence of African brands as key drivers in global economic activities. If there's been anything that has really disrupted this whole plans, it's been COVID-19. Note that this was the year that was supposed to kick off the AfCFTA, but because of the pandemic, it has been shifted to 2021. The pandemic effects will be critical as global economies continue to strategize how they plan to weather the storm and challenges. So how we can pull through this pandemic becomes very, very critical and will have a key impact on the AfCFTA next year. Let's go on to what will shape global trade going forward. First on the list is COVID-19 pandemic impact. I've just told you a reason why. Already we've seen that in key economies like the UK and France, Germany and other European countries, we've seen a second wave of the pandemic and lockdown. So it's just to show you how very important it is to manage and navigate this. Senator Joe Biden, President-elect of the United States of America, has said he will set up a COVID-19 task force to quickly address the challenge of this pandemic in the US. China has taken a very strong move to restrict movement into its country from non-Chinese citizens. So it shows you that the COVID-19 pandemic is still an issue on the plate and it's not being taken lightly. So it will definitely impact global trade developments and something to watch. The second trend of activity that will shape global trade is the foreign policy approach of the Biden administration. Given that effect and everything is smooth as sail, Senator Joe Biden will be sworn in as the 46th president of the US. What will be his foreign policy approach? From the Trump era, we've seen America first. We've seen a nationalist approach, and that has reverberated across the globe, and many countries are looking inward. So are we going to see an America inward, or are we going to see America return back to the global space and engage in a multilateral level in terms of trade development and boost its role as it has been before the Trump era? So everybody's watching closely what Biden will bring to the table as his foreign policy. That will be a very critical step in shaping how global trade will pan out in 2021, but beginning from today. And the next one is who will be the Director General of the WTO. Very important because of the direction the DG of WTO will go. How the person will lead, and I've told you the frontline candidates. The first is Mrs. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala from Nigeria, and the other is Yoo Myung-hee from South Korea. So whoever wins, the direction of the DG will be important. And lastly, how the principles of international trade are respected will be also very key. As you're aware, US and China have had their trade challenges and issues, and it has been part of the issues that have affected global trade, finance and activities, and that continues to have its impact on other wider trade agreements. Also, regional trades, how they're working will be very important. Are they following those principles? And also, various countries are on the bilateral trade level. How has it worked out for them? So all these issues on principles of international trade and how they are applied and how they continue to follow conventions, what is the general agreement on trade and tariffs, amongst others, will be very important to watch in the international space. What are the opportunities for Africa? First, I believe that leveraging the AfCFTA to be a globally competitive region will be important in trade. Africa needs to leverage AFCFTA. So in kicking off in 2021, that is something that must be taken seriously. How Africa leverages AFCFTA to be competitive will be an important step to benefiting from the global trade space. The second is deepening the capacity and plenipotentiary to now move from raw materials exports to process exports. Over the years, what we've been giving out is raw materials. We need value addition, because in that value addition, you see that we are getting more in terms of foreign exchange earnings, amongst others. So Africa must move. Industrialization is very key, and this is something that we must deepen internal capacity for. And lastly, we must learn from the Africa Growth Opportunity Act experience. Don't forget that former President Bill Clinton, when he came to Nigeria and other African countries, came up with that concept, developed it alongside various other partners and stakeholders. We had the Africa Growth Opportunity Act, which subsequently led to the new Partnership for Africa's Development. And since then, the level at which Africa has utilized that window has not been as effective as expected. Some countries have done well, but others didn't do well. So we need to learn from that experience to always harness opportunities that are given to the continent to drive industrialization, to boost our exports, to improve our sectors, and be non-reliant on commodities so that Africa can really achieve that level of being the last frontier for industrialization and economic transformation. And that will be all for this edition of the Economy and Politics Show. You can visit our website, www.prochange.com, to watch our videos with our reports and articles. You can also send your comments on the global trade developments and process for Africa. What do you think about a Senator Joe Biden presidency for the US? Will it reshape America's strategy and engagement with global community, especially in Africa? Does Africa stand to gain from a Joe Biden presidency? Send your views and comments to news@prochange.com, and we'll be available to respond to you accordingly. That's how we begin this new week, and looking forward to more interesting insights and perspectives as we join throughout the week. Till we come your way again, thank you for watching. Have a nice day and stay safe.